I went to a school where learning was extremely cherished. For example, there was a half an hour every day where you just went into the library, sat down, could read anything you wanted, and the librarian's purpose was simply to entice you into reading wonderful historical novels and just get you to read wonderful books. And while it was a school where we never learned to read until we were 7 years old, everybody was reading 11th grade, levels by the time they were 10 because it was such a wonderful place. Learning was so exciting. It was not a place where, it was a place where we had no grades. The way that your parents found out about how you were doing was the teachers came home to your house for dinner twice a year, and they would tell the parents how the child was doing after the child went to bed. So I went from this incredibly nourishing atmosphere into a large public high school with 2,000 kids, very regimented. It was a special New York high school. It had a lot of special programs, but the fact was it had very rigid exams. You had to ask for a pass to go to the bathroom, all the stuff that happens in high schools probably then and now. It had a lot of cliques, a lot of tensions between students, pressure for grades, and I very early learned how to do that. I mean, that was clearly what you were supposed to do, and within 2 years I had mastered it. It was 2 very, very hard years, but I became the kind of person who I detest. I was able to not study a word and then walk right in and spend 3 weeks cramming for the Regents exam and get an A on the Regents exam and forget everything that I'd ever learned before, and it was gone, right? And I was able to do that. I was a good test taker, which is exactly the kind of thing that leads you to get into the good colleges. It's exactly the kind of thing that propels you through the society, into the jobs, into the corporations. It's exactly the kind of thing that later, in the various protests of the 60s, we came to call the knowledge factory, school as the knowledge factory, as opposed to the kind of deeply creative and nourishing learning experiences that I think a lot of the 60s protest movement was about.